The Sportsman's Table is brought to you by the South Carolina Department of Agriculture. Whether you live in South Carolina or coming to vacation, make sure you're purchasing South Carolina-grown farm products. Make sure your food is South Carolina certified. It's a matter of taste.
Folks, welcome into this week's edition of the Sportsman's Table. We're on the beautiful campus of Horry Georgetown Tech at the International Culinary Institute here in Myrtle Beach. And joining me today is Chef Brittany Lee. She is with Lee's Farm down in Myrtle's Inlet. I tell you what, Brittany, it's always a pleasure to have you back.
Thank you.
It's good to see you.
Glad to be back.
And you've got a beautiful, great fish recipe for us today. Tell me about it.
I do. So I have some local grouper I got from 7 Seas.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, they really gave me some nice stuff. They catch about 80% of everything that they have.
Right.
So I put it with a Parmesan crust, a little bit of parsley. So half Parmesan, half panko breadcrumbs, a little bit of parsley, nice sizzling hot pan.
Ooh, yeah. And you know, grouper tastes so good.
It does. And you know, I'm not a big fish person, but it's nice and it's flaky. It doesn't leave that fish aftertaste.
Exactly.
So that's a really, really great one for.
And the Parmesan, man, that really adds a really great flavor to it.
It does, and between that and the panko, it gets this nice crust on it, and it looks really impressive by being super, super easy, which is kind of what we're going for.
How long are you going to let it cook for?
Right now, since my pan is already hot, you heard it sizzle kind of when it went in, about 2 or 3 minutes, and then I'm gonna flip it. It's gonna have that nice crust. If you have a thicker piece, you can always throw it in the oven for about 10 minutes, but if you have a thin piece like this, it's only gonna take about 6 or 7 minutes.
Great. All right, Brittany, our fish is done, 6-7 minutes. That grouper looks great.
Yeah, and like I said, it's got that nice crispiness. It's a pretty good size thin for one person. If you had it thicker, you just throw it in the oven, but otherwise you're good to go.
Now you're going to make this great sauce.
Yeah, so what we're going to do to put on it is going to be a tomato basil beurre blanc sauce. Super, super easy. What's important, though, is that we're not going to cover the whole fish with the sauce. We're going to put it at the bottom half because we just made this nice golden crispiness. We don't want to just make it all soggy.
Okay.
So I have a little bit of butter in here, and then I'm going to add shallots. I'm going to just cook those to translucent, meaning like clear. We don't want them brown at all because the beurre blanc is going to be white. We don't want any kind of like browning or greasiness or anything like that. So we're going to cook that just a few minutes to make it nice and clear, translucent. Then I'm going to add a little bit of white wine vinegar and dry white wine. You can use any kind of white wine. I use Chardonnay today, but you can use anything that you want. Once I bring that up to a simmer, then I'll add a little bit of heavy cream. For this particular dish, I have just a 1/4 cup. And then we're going to emulsify the butter in, which means we're going to add the butter a little bit at a time to kind of blend it in with a whisk. We'll add the basil and the tomato at the very end. All right, so we've added all of our ingredients and our sauce has come back to a simmer. We want to serve it immediately. Okay. So I've decided to pair it with asparagus. You can do whatever you want. I just like to do, you know, a green vegetable with fish. Yeah. So we have asparagus, a lemon wedge. I'm going to move our fish over here. Personally, I like to cover up the back of the asparagus and keep the points out. Just a personal preference.
Listen, if I'm in a restaurant getting this, that's an awesome piece of grouper, huh? I'm serious.
Thank you. All right, so I'm going to take my beurre blanc sauce, and like I said, you do want to serve that immediately. I'm going to pour that just right over the fish. I'd added the tomato and the basil. I didn't actually cook that into there because it'll brown both of them. So I just kind of added it at the end.
And folks, it smells great.
And then just for a little pop of color, we're going to put a little bit of tomatoes and a little bit of extra basil just right there on top. And then I'm going to just take this lemon that I got from Lee's Farm, and I'm just going to squeeze that just over the whole dish. And there you go.
Oh, my goodness. Brittany, that is great.
Thank you.
And, folks, if you want a copy of Brittany's recipe, just log on to bobredfern.com, and it'll be right there on our website. Thank you so much.
Thank
it's
you
always
so much.
from Lee's Farm. It's always great to see you. And I will tell you,
Appreciate
folks,
it.
listen, log on to CertifiedSC.com and see what's fresh on your menu. We'll be right back here again next week. It is a matter of taste on another episode of the Sportsman's Table.
To find out more information on supporting local South Carolina farmers and their products, visit CertifiedSC.com. It's a matter of taste. Take a